Hey, welcome to the Nursing Dose with your host, Farah, Dr. Laurent. Today, I wanted to talk to you about how to pivot after a job loss. So, if you happen to be watching, let me know where you're watching from, what city, what country. And if you happen to be watching the replay, same thing. Drop any comments or questions that you may have. And let's get to it. So, I'm going to discuss 5 tips for you today of how to pivot after a job loss. Okay. And this is if you've been recently laid off or whatever the case is as a nurse, whether you're a leader in education or a staff nurse, it's okay. You're going to be okay. You have a lot of transferable skills, and I'm going to share with you what you can do to pivot. All right. So, for those who don't know me, I've been a nurse for over 20 years, held various positions in emergency medicine, education, leadership, and now in entrepreneurship as a consultant and as a nurse career coach and speaker. All right. I'm actually going to be hosting a business mastermind coming up in Clearwater Beach at the end of July, entering August 1st and 2nd, to teach nurses and nurse entrepreneurs how to start or grow their business. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. And I also help new nurses land their dream job in less than 90 days, getting into specialty areas in the competitive spaces such as California and New York, making anywhere from 100 to 175K. So that's a little bit about my background. So let's get into it, right? What do you do after you've been laid off as a nurse? All right. So, number one, I will always say the first tip is reflect and reset, right? So, reflect on what it is that happened, why it happened. Maybe there's a particular reason, or if you don't know, because sometimes it just happens because they're restructuring, whatever the case is, because it's happened to me before. Literally, as the director of education, one time they pulled me into the office. They said that the company is restructuring, and it was like the corporate office in a different state. They were downsizing, so they let go of 5 different leaders, and I was one of them, right? So, of course, it could be shocking, devastating, because you're like, oh my goodness, what do I do next, right? You have bills to pay, a family to feed, all these things go through your head, right? But you just have to just learn to reflect and reset, and don't take too long to reflect. Just take a short time to reflect and reset, meaning what are your goals? What is your vision for your career moving forward? What impact do you want to make? What values do you want to really be in alignment with? Because a lot of the times, the reason that you may have got laid off or let go, sometimes I truly believe it's the universe really realigning for you, right? It's God protecting you from something that maybe no longer serves you and that you need to move forward into something else. So that's how I look at it. I look at it from a growth mindset. I talk a lot about mindset because it's very important for you to be able to pivot, to have that growth mindset, because you have to be adaptable, whether it's in nursing or in your personal life, right? So that growth mindset is really, what can you learn from your previous experience or that particular job, and how did you take the skills to now move on to something different? So this is what I say: really take the time to see what it is that you wanted to do next, and make sure that it's in alignment with your values and your purpose. So sometimes you work for companies maybe that are toxic workplaces. Maybe you've been advocating quite a bit, but they weren't really listening to that advocacy, and they were just doing whatever it was, and it didn't align with you, right? It didn't sit well with your values. So I always truly believe if you have integrity and strong values that you stand in, sometimes, employers don't like that, and they may let you go, right? Especially if you're doing a lot of advocacy. But this is why I always say then that place is maybe no longer for you, and that's okay. So take the time to reflect and reset. So, like I said, ask yourself, what are your values? What is it that you want to do next? And what is your vision What is the impact and purpose that you want to make? So once you have that clarity, because I always talk about clarity, clarity is so important. Clarity is the power that will give you direction. If you're clear on your goals, your purpose, your impact, you will always have direction and you will know what to do next. All right. So that's number one. Number two, we talked about mindset, right? Number two, I really want to focus on shifting your mindset. Again, we talked about growth mindset, but I want to shift your mindset more into an abundance mindset. I talk about this all the time. So when we lose a job, we think that we have, right, lost something. And then we kind of easily can get into the scarcity mindset of a lack, right? There's not enough. This fear sets in, like, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? So you got to think more in an abundance mindset and think, I will be okay. I will find something new that is going to serve me and that I'm going to be of service to others. I have the skills, I have the knowledge, I have the degrees, the certifications to move forward, right? So essentially, it might take anywhere from about a month if you're really good and you have really good connections and you've been building relationships. It could take anywhere from a month to 3 months for you to get a job, right? Remember, depending on the terms of the work, the employment, you can always look at the state to see if you're eligible for unemployment services or whatever other things that you're eligible for, right? So find out legally and everything like that what you can have at your disposal in terms of resources, okay? So shifting that mindset, that abundance mindset, is really to think positively and to think you will get something very soon. You know, it's easy to fall into that negative trap, but if you keep thinking negatively, all you're going to do is continue to attract negative emotions and you're not going to attract what you want. Okay? So shift away from scarcity mindset and move into abundance, okay? Mindset. And then number 3, I'll say is stay ready and be visible. So what do I mean by stay ready? Even if you haven't lost a job and you're still maybe working, I say stay ready. Stay resume ready, cover letter ready, certification ready, whatever it is, always be ready to potentially make a pivot or make a move, right? Because you never know what's going to happen in the job market. So you always have to make sure that you're marketable in terms of your skills. You're continuously doing professional development. You're investing in yourself, investing in your growth to make sure that if something like this happens, that you can pivot easily, right? So that's what I mean when I say stay ready, right? You can also get someone like me as a nurse career coach to help you find that clarity and to understand how you can pivot to the next role or what direction you want to go to in your career. Okay. So number 3 is stay ready and be visible. When I say be visible, you need to be out there at networking events. Don't just sit in your house and be sad or whatever, right? Make things happen. Be visible. LinkedIn is a great resource for you to start connecting with recruiters, other hiring managers, directors, and make and build those relationships, right? And you can be open to work that way, right? So LinkedIn, be visible, create social media content so that you can get back out there in the job market. A lot of times you can potentially get a job without even having to apply for it, just by simply making the ask, speaking to someone or something like that. All right. So, and then my biggest tip is don't rush back into just any job just to settle for anything, because you might get back into that same cycle of working in a place that's not in alignment with your values or your purpose or your impact, or getting back into a toxic work environment. And that's the last thing you want to do. Okay. Don't rush. Make sure that you're moving in the right direction. Okay. Then number 4 is network like a boss. Just like I was saying, network on LinkedIn, network in person. This is the time to really network. Obviously, my tip is to network way before that something like this even ever happens, because you want to build relationships, be of service to others, and have those strong relationships so that if anything happens, you have connections. You can literally pick up the phone and say, hey, this and this happened. I really want to transition or pivot into this type of role. Do you know any positions? Can you make a warm introduction? Da 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 da. But again, you have to help others along the way in these relationships so that when something happens, it's not just transactional. You can now go to them if you have built a strong relationship, right? So that's the importance of networking, going to job fairs, being proactive so that you can make things happen. All right. And then lastly, you can start a side hustle. Consider starting a business, taking what you already know, your intellectual property, and start making money that way. All right. So, like I said, if you want to learn more how to work with me as a nurse career coach, you can DM me. If you need clarity on your job search and what to do next, if you're a new nurse or an experienced nurse, a leader, educator, whatever, I work with all nurses. And then if you want to start a business, whether it's a consulting business or a career coach or a health coach, something in the coaching space, a service-based business, that is my specialty. And I'm hosting a mastermind in Clearwater Beach. Well, I'll share that information, where it's happening July 31st into August 2nd, where I'm going to share the step-by-step, the roadmap of how to start your own consulting business. Or if you already have a consulting business or a coaching business and you're struggling to get clients or to get more opportunities, whether it's speaking opportunities, freelance writing, whatever it is, this is the mastermind, business mastermind for you. It's called Elevate, where we're going to learn how to elevate our mindset, our business, our personal brand, so that if anything like this ever happens, at least you have a side hustle that you're working on, and eventually you can make that your main hustle if you're interested in business. All right. So that's it for me today. I'm going to run. Let me know if you have any questions, comments. DM me if you are interested in working with me as a nurse career coach, or if you need a business mentor, and you can come to Clearwater. I only have 3 spots left. See you in Florida. I hope this was helpful. My name is Farah. Have a blessed